Thank you for that warm introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. What you just heard is only the tip of this iceberg. Today I'm going to talk about what is beneath this iceberg, and without much surprise, I can tell you it's a sheer mix of pain, doubts, constant confusions, and some blessings over the last 2 decades. 20 years ago, in 2006, I joined this college in the first batch of civil engineering. But my story didn't begin there. It began somewhere in 1970s. And if you're wondering, it's nothing to do with my age. I'm not a 1970s born, even though I look a bit older counting the number of hairs left. In 1970s, the gross enrollment ratio of our country in higher education was just 4%. And if you're again wondering, how is that related to me? My parents happen to fall in the other side of this 4%, who really missed the opportunity to get into higher education like most of the middle class families back then. They missed it because not that they were not intelligent enough. They missed it because life demanded survival for them. They had to enter into job much earlier in their life to earn their living. My father started working in a press as a trainee at the age of 17. And later he did some couple of sales jobs and ended up in a small construction company. It was not because he has small dreams. He always had a bigger dream in his mind on higher education. And the dream was, if not me, my children. And he did it like most of the middle class families, working hard and sending their children to the best schools and colleges as possible. So today, I can proudly say that I'm a byproduct of that old Indian middle class dream. More than a dream, that was a sacrifice with a hidden ledger of trade-offs. I remember my father standing in front of the Raymond shopping at MG Road, Cochin, looking at a crisp, ready-made shirt, but he didn't buy it. Instead, he went with a local tailor with a lower fabric, saving few hundreds for my after-school evening school fees. Later in life, his trade-offs became bigger. For a journey between Cochin to Hyderabad, he opted for a 36-hour-long journey instead of a 90 minutes flash flight that his friends took to attend a conference, saving a few thousands for my school term fees. And further, in his life, the dream of buying a bigger sedan car was traded off with a 10-year-old Maruti 800, saving some lakhs for my college admission. Finally, those trade-offs allowed me to step into this college. When I stepped in 2006, I was representing around 40 to 50% population of this country who were wanting to slit their veins into the IT revolution. That was a time from the job profile shifted from job for living, that is a government job or a PSU job, to an IT job at around 30 to 40% salary hike. But my path was a bit different. I went with civil engineering, one of the core branch of engineering, in an assumption to help my father in his business and expand our small construction company into a bigger scale. Further, while in Talkage, there were two incidents that brought some clarity on my aspiration and my giving some life lessons going forward. The first incident was in 2009, that was with Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam when he visited this college as part of his student program interactions. As you know, whenever Dr. Abdul Kalam visited a college, he used to have a student interaction session where the students used to ask questions and he used to answer those questions. And same happened here. The organizing committee collected the questions for Mr. Kalam. So in assumption that someone from the organization committee will be asking the questions, I had a question for Dr. Kalam. So the day came, there were around 2,000 people in the audience. To my surprise and to everyone's surprise, Dr. Kalam called out my name, asking me to come up to the dais to ask the question. I was somewhere in the back row, totally frozen, was not prepared to go up to the stage, and Dr. Kalam, for the second time, called out my name. I couldn't move a step. Whoever knows me started laughing at me, and he moved on with the next question. That was a real shame. I didn't go to college for 2 days, but that event taught me a lesson. It's always good to have that curiosity and aspirations in your life, but it's equally important to have a strong character and the soft skill to rise up whenever your name is called, even in any midnight. Now, the second incident. That happened with one of my friends, one of my classmates, who was always going down in attendance and somehow managed to pass the exams. One day I happened to sit with him in a survey lab, and I noticed his hands were full of scars and red marks. Out of curiosity, I just checked with him what's going around, why are you skipping classes, and what happened to your hands. His response was shocking. He said he was skipping classes on the days his father couldn't make to work. So his father was a daily construction worker, a daily wage earner. So whenever he was sick or couldn't make to work, my friend was substituting him in that work, thereby earning the daily wage to support the family. Hearing that, I looked at my hands. The opportunities that I had were not really gifts. From that moment, the perception of life has completely changed for me from what I really owed to what I really have. With those learnings and life lessons, I stepped out to the world outside. And with the strong entrepreneurial urge, I went with a post-graduation in advanced construction management. And getting some industrial experience, I went down and supported my dad's business. The initial days were really exciting. I was trying to implement the business theories, the re-engineering and the negotiation principles into the not-so-corporate, small-scale, very localized construction business of my dad. But I later found out the B-school theories were not helpful in that localized business. There was only one golden rule, and the rule was, if I invest 10 rupees, by hook or crook, I should get back 15. I couldn't get that theory. The financial management I learned in the B school was not covering that theory. I immensely failed in business. I couldn't put any projects that I did into profit. There were days I didn't have enough change in my pocket to fill the petrol, and that day I thought of killing myself. And I literally mean it. One day, while driving over Tevera Bridge, I thought of jumping off the bridge and end this life and business because I found myself clueless going forward. I don't know where I should keep this within the TED. It is not the T of technology, the E of entertainment, or the D of design. But I can tell you, it's a T of truth that has been bound in this society. With the E of endurance, rat picking, the D of discernment, which I found in two incidents while I was in business. The first incident was with a loading and unloading union leader. The situation was I had a construction site and a truckload of marble to unload. So this union leader came down asking for a hefty amount. I was ready to pay the prevailing market rate, but he was charging me high to support a local union trade event. Again, the B school theories was not allowing me to pay for that extra. So I stayed away, and with my workers, I went down and unloaded the marble. That evening, I got a call from that union leader, and you can very well imagine how bad that call would have gone. After the call, when I returned back, I saw my mom in tears and my dad telling, I didn't raise you for this. Now, the second incident. It was completely in a different setting. It was with a high-ranking officer who was very much high in the bureaucracy. So you remember that ride I mentioned over Tevera Bridge? That was on a Saturday morning. It was to collect a check from this officer and encash it in the bank and pay my subcontractors and workers. I was owing them for last couple of months. I reached on his office like around 10 a.m. I found someone is inside his office, so I waited outside for first 30 minutes, then for an hour, then more than an hour. Being Saturday, the bank closes midday, so I rushed him into his office, pushing away his security so that I need to make it on time to the bank. The scene I had there was shocking. The officer was with his son, making a model of solar system in a thermocol. That was for his son's science exhibition at school. I went in silence. I didn't have any words to say, rather than begging him to sign that check, taking that to the bank, and encash it to pay for my suppliers. That brought me some clarity in my life to do what next, what I should do further in my life. I decided I will not sell myself cheap. Further, with every other Keralite with a dream, I moved on, pursuing jobs in Middle East. I started sharing room spaces in bunker beds with people having similar dreams, who are like-minded, who came out of their comfort zones from their loved ones, following their passion and dream. Those were the days of toughness, if I recall, and even in those days, I learned passionately a skill called planning and project controls, which I still do as my job. Those were the days I entered office first and left office last. Today I am leading the planning and project control function of a sublot at the iconic high-speed rail project in the UK. And that gave the clarity on my aspirations to move further. Now, as I link the chaotic situations that I had in my life, when I connect the dots across my last 2 decades, it points out to the tip of the iceberg that you may see. You will only understand my real story if you dive into this water. And you can see there are some days of struggle, some days of success, a day when I thought of killing myself, a day on the other end I was at ICU struggling to get back to my life and to be with my little one for the dinner, and some days of joy at the same time, some days of never-ending struggle. Yes, it's never-ending. Today my struggles are to keep up a good health, to do my part-time PhD at the University College of London, at the same time manage expectations at my work, which gives me the daily bread, and moreover find time with my family whenever they need me. So as I conclude today, there are three T's that made me. The T of Turkish, that's a learning I had. The T of Toastmasters, that's a training I did with a speakers club after the incident I had with Dr. Abdul Kalam. And finally, this platform, the T of TED, where ideas change everything. The first TED Talk I heard was in 2010. That was by Harsha Bogle, the cricket commentator. Since then, every other TED Talk, which starts with a huge round of applause and a storyline, inspired me. I went into those characters with the power of speech and words, whether it be my official presentations or the webinars I did for my academic interest, or on a very personal note, my dad's 60th birthday, which I gave the welcome speech. He was a proud dad, and he was telling his friends how proud he was before he died after a few months. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep struggling, keep finding the clarity within the chaos that you have in your life. The struggles that you may have are just for the moment. Keep up the momentum and prepare for the bigger examination called life. That's the beauty of living. Just embrace it. Thank you.